The year was 1968. Our country was in political turmoil, and protests were heating up against the Vietnam War. But our nation was also on the forefront of space exploration. The hippie or countercultural movement was evolving. And the Beatles topped the charts with Hey Jude.
Most college women become homemakers after graduation.
But our story really begins in the 50s in the Rocky Mountain Collegian newsroom. The Collegian was about 60 years old in 1956, and that's where Connie and Floyd Shoemaker were co-editors, sharing their love of journalism.
The big campus fury was the fact that a star football player had been caught drunk and had a DUI or something, and we published that in the paper, and it caused the football team to come en masse to the Collegian office.
Spacious dormitories for both men and women students, as cleanful and up-to-date as home itself, designed for pleasant living.
In 1968, the CSU campus was going through changes of its own. Hughes Stadium was about to open. $2 bought you a ticket to the rock duo Simon & Garfunkel at Moby Arena, and the technical journalism department was about to be born. At the time, journalism was housed in the English department, but while working on his PhD on a sabbatical in 1968, Floyd Shoemaker got the call from the dean. Two disciplines were to merge into a new department.
And so the two of us were combined in what was called technical journalism, and that was technical writing and journalism combined. Everybody who took, for example, engineering had to take a tech writing course.
The first course catalog was pretty simple, promising to get journalists ready for space-age reporting, only if they could pass that 2-credit typing course. Technology was limited, but emerging.
I don't think we had any audio-visual at that time. I don't remember. We had a course in photography. That was the pictorial portion of journalism.
I think it is time in this country to quit making national heroes out of those who steal secrets and publish them in the newspapers.
The 70s ushered in a new era of journalism, especially on the heels of the Watergate scandal. Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, author, and screenwriter David Freed became the Collegian city editor before graduating in 1976.
I could be a detective, I could be a journalist, I could make the world a better place, I could bring down, corrupt presidencies and so forth.
In fact, all the buildings were new.
Dr. David Clark took over the department in 1973, and to date is still the longest-running chair. He remembers CSU had an advantage over other Colorado universities because it was a land-grant university.
What that meant in Colorado in those days is that the young people were a lot like their parents. They were middle-class working people. So the students came here expecting to work.
Clark was tasked with making technical journalism a research-based department and attracting top faculty. There was also a demand for the department to have the latest and best technology.
We had progressed to IBM Selectric. They were electric typewriters. We were blessed by IBM, which gave us a workshop of what they call desktop publishing.
So the Collegian used to be right here next to the stairs going up towards by engineering.
Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist Chris Browning Blass was the Collegian entertainment editor in the mid-'80s.
It was such a good foundation to go into any kind of journalism. Just the fundamentals of how you put together a story, how you interview people. It really prepared me for a career.
Finally, audiences get to see something other than the good guy beats the bad guy and gets the girl.
Television and production had always been a mainstay in the technical journalism department.
Looks like Jimmy Connors had a pretty tough go of it. Well, there's no doubt about that, Zell.
Ever since the 70s, technical journalism had a makeshift studio set up in the basement of the Clark Building, where students made their graphics out of poster board.
Good evening, I'm Robert Thompson.
And I'm Sarah Harlow. Tonight on Scene 13.
users of ecstasy may end up in an emergency room like this. I sort of screwed that up.
Cindy Hopko Malone graduated in the mid-'80s and remembers well how TV news was changing.
The news cycle was changing from the half-hour local news, half-hour to national news, to a 24-hour news cycle with the beginning and launch of CNN.
This is CNN.
Producing the news for classroom projects wasn't always easy.
The edit suites were in Clark Building, but they were in the classrooms. So we could not edit our projects during the day while classes were taking place.
We want color bars until we're ready to go.
Campus Television, also known as CTV, was launched in the spring of 1989 in the basement of the Laurie Student Center, where students produced a half-hour television newscast broadcast live on cable channel 11.
Besides her job as a dog psychologist, Clark also finds time to train animals.
Brian Weister graduated in 1998 and was part of CTV. He later was named National NPPA Editor of the Year 4 times.
Back in the 90s, in the journalism department, there was straight-cut editing machines.
One of the most important steps in the editing process is to always check the insert mode settings before you make any edit.
Everybody can edit on their phones now and throw it to Instagram and do whatever they want.
Cries of help rang out from terrified residents of the trailer park. They were trapped between the double danger of fire and flood.
This is the inventory list of all of the campus television equipment. Campus TV studio was wiped out.
One of the greatest challenges for the department came in 1997 when the Spring Creek flood ravaged and destroyed much of the Laurie Student Center, including student media.
For all intents and purposes, CTV is dead this semester, as far as we can tell. And that's too bad, because Campus TV was named the best student newscast in the country last year.
In 1998, the department changed its name to Journalism and Technical Communication, reflecting the emerging internet and the beginning of digital communication. Current chairman Greg Luft was an undergraduate in the 70s and joined the faculty in 1988 and has witnessed the department's evolution.
For almost 20 years, the department was really focused on 4 key areas: news editorial journalism, traditional newspaper magazine, television, public relations, and specialized agricultural communication. That really has transformed dramatically now into science communication.
Hi. So Kristen Gallagher graduated in 2004 with a concentration in public relations.
We were faxing over pitches and press releases to journalists versus emailing, and suddenly email became big, or you were doing paper packets and you would have to actually do media clippings and media reports.
Something else was starting to emerge, impacting journalism: social media.
I remember my friends, setting up a Facebook page, and everybody's like, what is this Facebook? I mean, MySpace had just kind of launched, and that was a thing, but it's so fascinating now because so many of the people who are working at Wild Rock, also Rams, they are actually graduating with courses in social media, and they've lived and breathed it.
The department greatly enhanced its alumni relations by creating the Alumni Media Festival, which is held every few years on campus, bringing back working professionals to share their knowledge about their specialized fields and recognizing professional achievement with the coveted CAMI Award. Photojournalist Hannah Tran graduated in 2012 and credits her success to her hands-on education.
Campus Television, we had editors, producers, news directors, graphic designers. We had a fully suited team that really gave me the comprehensive knowledge that I needed to get my first job after I graduated.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter so you can stay up to date on all of our breaking news.
The success of student media over the decades has been in part to the work of Larry Stewart, who oversaw the largest expansion of student media and is responsible for much of its current impact in the development of future journalists. In 2015, in keeping with the changing media field, the department changed its name again to what it's called today, the Journalism and Media Communication Department, reflecting its continued growth beyond the classroom.
We have 2 master's programs now. We have a PhD program. We have an online undergraduate degree that started this year. We're teaching 3,000 students a year in advanced writing, and we have 4 different academic minors that we're leading.
The department continues its expansion in new media communications across all platforms, as well as research communications focusing on science, the environment, and natural resources, all while staying true to its journalism roots.
And the fake news refused to call it, right?
So what does the future hold? "50 years later, our nation is still in political turmoil.
They're saying things like CNN sucks, go home, and fake news. Wolf, obviously, all of those things are false. We're staying right here. We're going to do our job and report on this rally to all of our viewers here tonight."
Words like fake news are actually making the news.
For some people to say that we're enemies of the people, I think is just incorrect. You know, I often think there are many days where I'll wake up and look at the news and think the only thing that, you know, is protecting us from utter tyranny is the news media.
In the next 50 years, how we do what we do will change. But what we do, journalism and media communication, is here to stay.